You want revenge, say it out loud. Someone hurt you, humiliated you, or walked away like you were nothing, and every instinct you have is screaming the same thing: make them pay. But here's the part that will change everything you think you know about winning. The moment you chase revenge, you hand them the one thing they were counting on. Proof that they still own you. Your reaction, your energy, your sleepless nights planning a move they'll never see. The real play is colder, quieter, more permanent. You disappear. Not dramatically. Not with a closing speech designed to wound them. You just stop. Stop responding. Stop mentioning. Stop existing in their story. And that absence becomes the most devastating thing you could ever do to someone who needed you to break. The Stoics understood this 2,000 years before any self-help book ever touched it. Epictetus wrote that it's not what happens to you, but how you respond that determines everything. And the response that destroys a manipulator completely is not anger. It is not confrontation. It is the response that whispers without a single word, "You never had me." Before we continue, this is where most people quit. If you're still here, you're different. Subscribe to this channel, not for motivation, but for mental tools you can actually use. In a world of noise, we offer direction. In a world of distraction, we build discipline. Hit that subscribe button now. Let's continue. 1. Your silence is louder than anything you could scream. They engineered this situation to get a reaction. That was the entire plan. See you explode. See you beg. See you come back one more time just to prove they were worth fighting for. Every version of you reacting tells them the same story. You still have power over me. When you go quiet and move forward without explanation, you deliver the one message they have no answer for. You are not worth my nervous system. You become a mirror. And what they see in that mirror is their own failure, staring back with nowhere to hide. 2. They don't want your hatred. They want your attention. Here is the psychology underneath every attack. Nobody who is genuinely secure tears people down. The person who hurt you needed to matter to you. They needed to be the center of something, even if that something was your pain. Strip that away. Move on without demanding justice, without sending the final message, without giving them the dignity of a reaction, and you take the only thing they were actually after. They wanted to be the villain in your story. What they get instead is a deleted scene, cut, gone. And that silence is heavier than any argument you could have won. 3. Disappearing without explanation is a declaration they cannot fight. Someone betrays you, humiliates you, dismantles something you built with your own hands, and you simply vanish. No justification, no final conversation, no trace. The person who wanted a war finds nothing. No enemy standing across from them. No audience watching. Just empty space where you used to be. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the finest revenge is simply to be nothing like the one who caused the harm. You don't need to prove you're above it. You just need to be gone. Your peace is the strike. Your absence is the wound that refuses to close. 4. Your success is the punishment that never ends. They predicted your collapse. They may have celebrated quietly. They told themselves the story of your downfall before it even happened. But you don't collapse. You build. You grow sharper and more deliberate than before they ever entered your life. Every victory you accumulate without mentioning their name delivers the same verdict. You failed to destroy me. There's nothing more corrosive to an ego than watching in silence as the person it tried to erase rises without even acknowledging the attempt. No speech, no public comeback, just the quiet, relentless weight of a life well built while they're still explaining themselves to anyone who will listen. 5. Contempt is the only weapon they cannot disarm. Anger is still a connection. Hate is still acknowledgement. But contempt, real contempt, is total erasure. It's when you treat someone as if they were never part of your story at all. Not a villain, not a lesson, not even a memory worth maintaining. Just a person who passed through and left no mark worth keeping. A manipulator does not fear your hatred. They fear your forgetting. Because hatred means they still live rent-free in your mind. Forgetting means the eviction was permanent. Epictetus said, "You do not defeat darkness by screaming at it. You defeat it by cutting off its oxygen entirely." That is what contempt does. No drama, no ceremony. Lights out. 6. Staying calm in front of someone who expected your collapse is an act of violence. They are waiting for the breakdown, the defensive text at 2 in the morning, the visible crack in public, the moment you finally confirm that what they did actually worked. When you respond instead with stillness, with flat, unreadable composure, the entire dynamic inverts. You are no longer the target. You are the observer. And that shift is brutal because it proves the thing they feared most from the beginning. They never had you. Not where it counts. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you hold power over your mind, not over external events. Exercising that power visibly in front of the person who tried to strip it from you is the most devastating statement you will ever make without opening your mouth. 7. Leaving without a word is the move they have no counter for. If you argue, they defend. If you fight, there is still contact, still heat, still connection. But if you simply leave, cleanly, without drama, without a closing line designed to land, you take every tool out of their hands. Nothing to respond to, nothing to win against. Seneca warned that engaging with certain people is a trap built specifically for your dignity. Every word you spend justifying yourself confirms they are worth justifying yourself to. When you walk away with class, that person is sealed inside a room alone with their own decision. The silence of that room becomes their prison. They built it. They will serve the sentence, without you in it. Time is not neutral. At first, they mistake your silence for defeat. They perform victory. They tell their version to mutual connections. They wait for you to crack. But time is patient, and time always sides with the person who stopped caring first. As weeks become months and you never react, never return, never mention them, something corrodes. Annoyance becomes doubt. Doubt becomes guilt. Guilt becomes the kind of regret that shows up at 3 in the morning with no audience left to perform for. Marcus Aurelius wrote that if you wait long enough, the river carries everything past. You do not have to act. Your absence is already working. Here's the final truth. The person who tried to hurt you expected chaos. They expected to remain the main character in your story. What they receive instead is something far worse than your anger. The absolute certainty that they never mattered enough to destroy you. A person of genuine strength doesn't shout, doesn't chase, doesn't perform recovery for an audience. They simply stop looking back. And in that single act of turning away, they reduce the one who tried to break them to the one thing that person was always terrified of becoming. Write "gone" in the comments right now if you've already made this decision. One word. That's the commitment. Subscribe to Silent Forge. Not for applause, for the work.